Many years have passed since the Fellowship of Light battled the shadow creature at the Grey Havens. Now the heroes find themselves in an unknown land where they discover a man in black is wreaking havoc. Undeath follows him wherever he goes, and long-forgotten legends rise again, having been possessed by his evil. Join the players of this Dungeons & Dragons campaign as they attempt to stop the man in black as he collects artifacts both on and off the Lonely Isle. Welcome to Toleracia in Part 2 of the Inglorion Bastards trilogy, Rise of the Mormon.
And I have a few more screens here for you. Let me get rid of the evil breath out here.
I was planning on climbing out of that hole and tossing his ass in it.
Dude, I'm sorry for a very unrewarding evening for you.
Oh, it's okay. I just sat here and wisdom rolls all day. Fail all of them.
Alright, so you guys come up, and like, you don't even have to knock on the door. Gilfanon opens the door, and he's like he's totally different, like totally calm, like graceful.
Yeah, we just got the shit out of his basement.
Yeah, but he's not like clearly he was suffering from the effects of the evil breath, and so you're up here now, and he's just so thankful for you. He says he's going to go lay Ariel to rest properly. He tells
this
you,
house is now clear.
the room is clear. I don't. Marco wasn't here before, but he mentioned that you guys are the first second-born people that were here. He mentioned the Numenorians that came and sort of raided Amman. He mentioned Ariel, who was here. Who was here basically to find out, information about Ersea. And then he also tells you that he believes, and I'm kind of rushing through this because I know we're actually 10 minutes past when we were going to end, but he tells you that he believes that great events in the course of history cause ripples, and sometimes they sort of double up and happen sort of concurrently. And he tells you that the magic, he doesn't say magic, he says the Ring of Power and Sauron both have been slain. And some of you would know what that's about, and some of you wouldn't. But just so you know, in the timeline, like he lets you know that has happened. So like that much time has passed. Again, 60 years had passed just on the boat. Let's see. So he also tells you that he thinks that just your being here and the Man in Black being here and the Shadow being here and all that means that the last battle is drawing near. And yeah, and at this point, Faraday, you hear your sword saying Talbor again, like more strongly, and so I guess he would reveal to you if you bring up Talbor in the Turin bar, he would, let's look in our lore section, and he would bring up the second part of the second prophecy, which I will share with you now. And this is the first part, so I'll just read it to you. Here's part one. Thus spoke Mandos in prophecy, when the Valar sat in judgment in Valinor, and the rumors of his word was whispered among all the elves of the west. When the world is old and the powers have grown weary, Morgoth, the black foe of the world, seeing that the guard sleepeth, and he's talking about Erendiel, who has the Silmaril, shall come back through the door of night, out of the timeless void, and all shall be darkness, and the sun will turn to black, and the moon will no longer shed his light. But the host of Valinor shall descend upon him as searing flame, white and terrible. Then shall the last battle be gathered in the fields of Valinor. So that's what Merrill shared with you last when you were in Cortirion, and he shares with you the second part. In that day Tulkas shall strive with Morgoth, and on his right hand shall be Eonwe, and on his left hand Turnbar, the son of Hurin, returning from the doom of men, meaning death, at the end of the world, and the black sword of Turn shall deal unto Morgoth his death and final end, and so the children of Hurin and the fallen men be avenged. So he's now shared with you the second part of this prophecy. And basically what comes to light is that the Shadow, you tell him that he was at Cortirion trying to forge a weapon, and when he would tell you is that the only other place to forge a weapon would be the workshops of Aule. Aule is one of the Valar, and some of you have the workshop of Aule in your lore cards. Mm-hmm. So if you want to share that with people, you can.
So it says the Mastersmith and Valar Aule has workshops throughout Arda where where great things were created, such as the doors, of course.
Yeah.
It is in these workshops that he showed the Noldor how to create the precious gems and magic items that they're famous for.
So he has workshops throughout, but he can tell you where one of the workshops of Aule are, where Shadow might be going to forge this weapon now that he has the golden book. But he also tells you that if you want to seek out Turinbar at the Stone of the Hapless, the only way to do this is to travel to the Tower of Pearl on the Enchanted Isles. And so let me show you in the handouts under maps. Let's see, where would it be? I guess, let me look at Valinor. No. Let's see, Circles of the World. No. The West, as it was. Here we go. So right now, you guys are on Erisea. You're on the west coast of Erisea, closest to the plains of Valinor, closest to Aman. And you see those islands out to the east. They're called they're in the shadowy seas, but they're called the Enchanted Isles. The Tower of Pearl is also listed on that map. So he would tell you need to go west to Aman, to basically the coast of the big continent. If you want to seek out the workshop of Aule, if you believe the shadow has gone there to make a weapon, and you'll have to head east to the Tower of Pearl, which is the only way that you guys can get back to Middle Earth, to the Stone of the Hapless, where Turinbar is buried, right? Because he's buried on an island called Tol Morwen in Middle Earth, and you would have to literally sail there, and it would take forever. He says the only way to get there is through the Tower of Pearl, which is still here in the Blessed Realm. So you have two choices, right? You can go to the workshop of Aule, or you can go to the Tower of Pearl. Does that make sense?
Well, since we haven't taken a rest, I suspect that we could probably catch him at the workshop.
Yeah, I agree.
What does everyone else think?
However, if we try to make any kind of combat with him in our current state, he might do a little more damage than we want.
Well, he doesn't know where the shadow went. All he's telling you is that there are very few places that he could forge a weapon. It's very possible that the shadow actually went to seek Turin himself. Because Turin is in this prophecy.
Right.
So he's just giving you a couple of options. Like he doesn't know. He actually hid from the shadow and this evil breath. And now that you've kind of cleansed it in sort of dispatching Ariel, he doesn't know exactly where he's gone. He's basically feeding you information, lore, based on what you're telling him. So it's I guess it's where you think the shadow might have gone, or what you think is more important. At Faradir, your sword is very clearly wanting to go to the Talbor, to the Stone of the Hapless. However, the forging of a weapon might be very important if you think the shadow has gone there. But again, you don't know where the shadow has gone.
Let's split the party.
Can we do that?
No, you never split the party, man.
Oh,
Going back home to Moria.
Do we have any best guess which direction, where we should actually go then?
You lost track of the shadow, so you were trailing him. He's clearly been here, but according to Gilfanon, who hid from him, he doesn't know what direction he went. I guess it just kind of boils down to wherever you think, look at your quests and like what is the most important thing for you to be doing right now, and where do you think the shadow is, or does that matter? Should you, the prophecy says that Turinbar is going to deliver the death blow to Morgoth when he comes back. Is that, do you think he's forging a weapon somewhere, and should you stop that, or do you think he's seeking out the person that's supposedly killing the big bad? You don't know.
Well, the big bad is supposed to happen anyways. That's what the prophecy says, right?
Well, the prophecy says a lot of things, but yeah, that's one of the things it says.
So I'm thinking we can just go to Turinbar and start from there. Go to the end to get to the beginning.
Okay. What does everyone else think?
Yeah, my sword is starting to annoy me. It keeps saying this name over and over again. So
So for next week, you guys are wanting to head to the Stone of the Hapless, or the Tower of Pearl to get to the Stone of the Hapless.
Let's go to the Black Pearl and sail her to the stone.
All right. So if I can just bear with you here. So he tells you, Gilfanon tells you that you need to go to the Tavrobel, the town, and seek out. He has a connection there that will point you towards a guide.
Hey, Írimë.
Yeah. So several of you actually recognize Írimë, and some of you are very, very shocked to see Írimë here, because the last thing that you remember, Írimë was stabbed by the pirate and dumped into the sea on Middle Earth.
Yeah. Oh, hey. Hello. What?
I greet her with an embrace and a look of
That's sad.
red.
I go in and go, "What up, girl?" What does it like?
She says, "Yeah, thanks for stopping them from stabbing me in the fucking face. We appreciate it."
I was a little busy, you know. I knew you'd come back.
So, Vic, do you wanna tell Okran's story about how she came to be here? Do you remember?
No, balls, no, I don't remember.
The halls of Mandos. Do you remember one of your tasks that Vanya gave you was to seek out the halls of Mandos and request the spirit of Írimë?
I actually don't remember that.
Yeah, so that was a part of your origin session. So Vic's character would tell you when he was summoned back to Valinor, his Valar, Vanya, gave him a series of tasks.
Here it is. Okay, sorry. Go to the halls of Mandos to request for the body of the elf Írimë. Oh, and take her back to the Noldoran elves in the Calessyria.
Tyrion.
And what?
So you brought her back to Tyrion,
Okay.
the home of MJ actually, and then John, you saw Írimë. You rode with her here to Tavrobel, and she was carrying something.
Yeah, she's supposed to meet me in Taco Bell.
Yes, John, do you remember your interaction and what she was carrying?
I don't remember. Sorry.
No worries. So she tells you that she's been the whole reason she's here is because she knows you guys, and so the powers. So earlier this week, Vic asked something that was, I think, a good question. Like, if the big bad is coming back from the outer void, like, why don't they get involved? And the answer is they are getting involved, but just indirectly right now. So they're sending you all, but they're also like putting pieces in motion, right? So they sent Vic to go get Írimë, and Írimë is to kind of act as like a.
Jared, I remember what she's carrying.
You do?
Yeah, she had a large staff in a burlap sack.
Okay, cool. So she's very happy. She's very happy to see you guys, and she says that she's here to actually help your quest. And she knows, and you tell her that you need to go to the Tower of Pearl to seek out Turin Turnbar and the Stone of the Hapless. And she says, "Well, you're going to need a guide and a boat." And she says, "I have something else for you." And she looks directly at Riken actually,
Okay.
and she says, because of your travel here and your sort of anguish, our king has decided to give you a very special gift. So let me pull it up here. It's called Inayor, and it's actually from the king of the Vanyar, and the Vanyar.
Dang, what is that?
The Vanyar are actually they're called spear elves, and the Vanyar, you remember, are one of the three elves, right? We have the Teleri, the Noldor, and the Vanyar. The Vanyar you haven't met yet, but they live in the closest proximity to the Valar, and they're called spear elves, and they have these magical spears that they use. And the spear's name actually means first blood, and it's pretty badass. Actually, does more damage than a regular spear.
Yeah.
So if you are interested in using that, she brought that as a gift for you.
Well, I gladly accept it, of course. I don't even know what to say. I thought I would never see this Írimë again. I thought she was dead. I guess I left right before she died, didn't I?
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
Yeah. I booked through the portal.
She embraces you and grabs your face and is like studying your face, and she just apologizes that you sort of had to go through all of this, but that you guys are on a very noble quest, and that there are many parties that are working behind the scenes to make your quest a success. And then she says, "I'd like to introduce you to your guide, if that pleases you."
Yeah. Yes, of course.
All right, so she takes you out to the docks, and you see this guy who's standing on the edge of the dock, and he's dropping like fish carcasses into the water.
That dude.
And
I know
Írimë-
that guy.
Yeah, Írimë says, "I'd like to introduce you to Ossë. That he will be, and MJ, you would know him as he is the maiar to the sea god."
I started humming the little tune that we had earlier while we were both tossing fish into the sea.
Cool. He says, "So, to the Tower of Pearl, is it?" Arr. He says, "Let's. This is quite an adventure." Yeah. And he says, "Let's get on the ship and let's go." So for the next session, I'm going to have you guys heading east to the Tower of Pearl for the sole purpose of seeking Turnbar. And you don't know how this is going to happen because, again, Turnbar is in Middle Earth still. So it's an island off of Middle Earth called Tolmorwen, where his burial stone is called the Stone of the Hapless. You don't know how you're going to get there from the Tower of Pearl, but they tell you that supposedly there is this Tower of Pearl, which is there are people there that sort of man this tower, and that there's something called a sleeper in the Tower of Pearl. And you don't know exactly what that is. It's not clear to anyone really what that is. And the other thing to be aware of when you set sail on day 10. There are 4 days left until the full moon, and you're going to be at sea for 3 days. All right. So before we go, let's do.
I guess we're pretty rested.
So are we going to be on a boat when Faraday turns into a werewolf? Is that what we're trying to say here?
Pretty much. Assuming you don't encounter anything on the sea. No, you should be on land when the next full moon happens.
That doesn't sound like it's going to happen.
So you have one more day where you need to do a blighted lands check, and Tessero, you have to do another trauma check as well, and then we'll end for the night.
Can I do one of these, like on the boat?
Well, you can actually rest. You can rest. So we're going to take a long rest here. Is that what you mean?
Well, yeah, I just kind of wanted to see if we could get bonuses against this two blighted balls, making all our testicles itch.
No, the tiny hut doesn't help with that, unfortunately.
Damn, tiny hut helps all.
What's this blighted lands thing here?
So this is, remember in the first campaign when you would travel through shadow-infested areas and you would get shadow points if you failed. So it's I think it's a DC 15 Wisdom save.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
Come on, fuck.
So hopefully you guys have been tallying up. How's everybody doing for shadow points?
Well,
I'll have one.
I have 7.
So refresh my memory on how shadow points work. Like when you've accumulated shadow points.
So once your shadow points surpass your wisdom score, you're in a condition that's called miserable, and you have disadvantage on most things. And when you fail at something, you go into what's called a bout of madness. And some of you actually have really bad bouts of madness. You don't want Burin to go into a bout of madness because he could actually attack one of you.
Awesome.
I will attack one of you.
Yeah.
So I'm apparently very sad. My wisdom is 0, by the way.
Your wisdom bonus is 0.
Yep.
Can I change my strength back now?
Is that so? When you say wisdom score, do you mean your wisdom bonus, or you're flat up your wisdom?
Wait, say that again.
When you say is it when it surpasses your wisdom? So say 10 in my case. My wisdom's very bad. I'm very unwise.
Okay.
So I would need 10 shadow points for that to happen.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
And here,
11.
and I've shared. I just showed you the miserable and bouts of madness. Sort of.
Yeah, very cool.
Hopefully that's popped up, and you can kind of. I got more into it. I did a sort of a rule card about it.
When do we shed the shadow points?
What's that?
When do we shed the points?
That's in there too. So you're gonna, and I covered this last time. So shadow points you're gonna get to shed them once during this 10-week campaign, and that's when you're with the elves in week 6. But other than that, a long rest doesn't actually shed them.
I'm 1 point away from being miserable.
All right, a bout of madness, cool. Well, let me write down. We got to figure out, since your character is not actually a Adventures in Middle Earth character. I'll assign you it's called a shadow weakness. So I'll let you know what that is.
I'll tell you one thing, they're not good.
Cool. All right, so you guys clear on what's happening with the story?
Yes.
Yeah.
Getting on the boat, gonna get attacked by Faradir.
You guys are seeking out Turin-Turambar, who is mentioned in the prophecy, and Faradir's sword really wants to go there. Are we clear on who Turin-Turambar is?
Faradir's sword is Turambar's sword, right?
No.
Okay. Is he not the Mormagil?
So Turin-Turambar is the Mormagil. However, Faradir's sword was... so the black swords were created by an elf named Ael.
Yep.
And he kept Angwarel to himself, and he gave Anglachel to the king of a hidden kingdom, an elven kingdom. And I believe this is how it goes. Angwarel, the sword that Faradir is using, was lost from history because eventually the hidden kingdom was sacked, and the sword of the king in this hidden kingdom was passed down to Turin, who reforged the sword as Gurthang. And Gurthang, it was no longer called Anglachel, it was called Gurthang, the Black Blade. The Black Blade, Turin used the Black Blade to kill the dragon Glauron. And when he killed the dragon Glauron, the sword broke, and he killed himself on the shards of Gurthang. Turin did.
Okay.
Yeah, because it was all kinds of nasty things. But so I guess probably Vic's character would know all of this and share this with you. So there are two black swords that were made by Ael. They're kind of like sister swords, but they were separated over the ages. One was reforged and then broken. Angwarel that Faradir is using looks exactly the same, and that's why they're calling him the Mormagil. Right? He wields this black blade made from this meteorite material, but there's still this other blade out there that's the true black blade, and that belonged to Turin-Turambar.
Okay. All right. So this is not actually his Turin's sword.
I mean, it's made out of the same material. It's forged by the same person. In some ways, yeah. I mean, it was the sword that Faradir is using was kept by the smith, right? So it was a special sword, obviously. But it's trying to find its sister sword, and it's telling Faradir to go find, Talbor.
Okay.
And by the way, all of this stuff tonight, the characters, all of the lore cards and stuff, all of this stuff is canon. Ariel doesn't actually come back as a zombie, whatever mummy lord type thing that you were fighting, but all of this stuff, even the Stone of the Hapless and the Evil Breath, all of that stuff was canon.
Cool. That's very cool.
All right.
Awesome.
Anybody else? Any questions? Or are you good?
All good.
That was awesome.
Though this marks the end of the episode, the road goes ever on. Until next time, join us at longwinded.one and consider giving us a review on Apple Music, Spotify, or really whichever platform you choose.